So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to TTPA's public webinar series. Today's webinar is the fourth one, and I'm honored today to share with you my understanding on technology transfer and intellectual property. Actually, I will divide this topic into several parts. And today's webinar is the first one. I will share with you my understanding of what is technology transfer and the impact of IP, including patents, on technology transfer. And finally, I will share with you the most recent updates in China in the field of IP. So hopefully you can have an objective and updated image of the IP system in China. So let's begin. I got my name Binqiang Liu, as you can see here from the post. I graduated from my master's study in technology in 2006. Then I joined CNIPA, China National Intellectual Property Administration, or formerly SIPO, State Intellectual Property Office, and worked as a patent examiner for more than 7 years. Then I signed myself off from SIPO and went to US to pursue my law degree in intellectual property at the University of New Hampshire School of Law, formerly Franklin Pierce Law Center, a globally well-known law institute with strength in intellectual property. Basically, we have alumni all over the world. So after I came back from US, I started my own business with the brand name USino, as you can see here. We position USino as an innovation and intellectual property commercialization expert to help clients leverage intellectual property and patents to gain competitive advantages in the market. So here is a disclaimer, a typical disclaimer as you probably do in public situations. So basically, no legal obligation today. And my lecturing style is to make my lecture or webinar as practical, interactive, and instructive as possible. And for offline events, I often invite the audience to join me to do role play so they can have a better idea of what they are learning. But of course, due to the pandemic, we are only run online webinar today, so I'm not sure whether or not and how we can do role play today. Let's see. So every time I make a public presentation, I like to share with people these two slides or these two quotes. Intellectual property is just a game, and intellectual property is just a business tool. My opinion is, for any corporation, especially those technology-based companies, there is no reason to ignore IP. It's just one of those business tools, such as financing tools, marketing tools, new product developing tools, blah, 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 all kinds of business tools they have. Intellectual property is also one of those business tools. And it can also help corporations to gain competitive advantages in the market. But of course, there must be a fit intellectual property strategy. So, oh, by the way, please allow me to make a quick introduction of TTPA as well. TTPA, the organization holding these public events, is a newly born organization in the technology transfer ecosystem, which was founded just this year, this February. TTPA is a globally positioned platform for technology transfer professionals. For anybody who is interested in technology transfer, as I will define in my coming lecture. So we invite you, no matter where you are, to join us, to contribute your expertise, your knowledge, your resource, while you learn from this platform, and also receive benefits here, such as networks or resources we offer here on TTPA. It's worth mentioning, most TTPA members, including board members, such as me as a founding president of TTPA and other board members, we all work as volunteers. We use our spare time, we use our extra, energies, after work to contribute to TTPA, to help, each other. And we hope TTPA can be a bridge connecting anyone, any party in this big technology transfer ecosystem, no matter you are in China or you are from abroad. Okay? So As I have said earlier, originally prospective audience for this webinar is from China. However, audience from abroad is also welcome. As I said, one of the main goals today is to let foreign professionals to have an updated and objective image of what's happening here in China in technology transfer, in intellectual property, in patents. Okay, and that's the reason why I'm delivering this webinar in English, which is not my mother language. And another note is that all views shared today are only mine. They are not views from USino, they are not views from TTPA, they are not views from any other organization. They are only mine. While also there is no legal obligation, I'm not giving any legal advice. Okay? So with this understanding between you and me, let's continue to our former contents. Today, I will divide my lecture into 3 parts. First, I will deal with the definition of technology transfer from a broad perspective. And then I will talk about the impact of IP and patents on technology transfer. And finally, recent updates from China in intellectual property. So, what is technology transfer? Do you have any definition in your mind? I hope you can, as I said earlier, I'm not sure how we can do low praise, but at least you can send a message, or you can make a voice message on this Tencent meeting platform or VOOV meeting platform from abroad. So what is technology transfer? What's the definition in your mind? Okay. Probably there are 1,000 ways to define it, right? You can find definitions of technology transfer by Googling it. Maybe you can see definitions from famous organizations in Tier 2. In today, sometimes I may use Tier 2, I may use technology transfer alternatively. So maybe you have seen definitions from famous organizations in Tier 2 like AUTM, formerly Association of University Technology Managers in United States, a very famous organization in technology transfer. It's a very good organization, which I highly recommend you. If you have not, known, if you have not, got familiar with this organization, I strongly recommend you, to get to know about it. It's really a nice professional organization. So let me ask some questions before I share with you my definition of technology transfer. What about this? Imagine a successful startup based on a public university drug invention or patent. Is this technology transfer? Maybe I can do polls, or maybe you can just, type in your answer. Yes or no? A successful startup based on, university patents. Is it technology transfer? I believe so. What about this one? A multinational corporation licensed dozens of implementers its patent technologies. One of the typical example is Qualcomm, right? Qualcomm licensed probably hundreds of thousands of, licensees, their patented technologies, especially in the ICT field, right? Is this technology transfer? What about this one? A blue-collar worker, someone who works, the production lines in a factory. A blue-collar worker came about a simple but effective solution for a problem her or his company or the factory is facing at a production line, and improved the producing efficiency highly. So is that technology transfer? Personally, in my view, the former three occasions there are technology transfer. Technology transfer exists in all those situations. So here is my definition of technology transfer under a broad perspective. My personal view is that technology transfer exists in any occasion where technology is leveraged or applied, and the social welfare is ultimately improved. So some key words here: any occasion, any situation, technology is leveraged or applied. Okay? Technology leveraged or applied. For the Qualcomm case, we would say technology is leveraged. And for the startup and co-worker cases, technology is applied. And the third keywords are social welfare, ultimately improved. Ultimately improved. Okay. There are situations you may not see immediate and instant social welfare improvements by applying certain technologies. But ultimately, social welfare is improved due to the application of such technologies. Okay? So my personal opinion is that in any occasion where technology is leveraged, applied, and social welfare is ultimately improved, there are technology transfer. There are technology transfer. Okay? So this is my definition of a technology transfer on a broad perspective. You can agree, you can disagree. And I hope this definition can bring you more thoughts on this definition of technology transfer. So based on this definition and a broad perspective, I hope or I expect to convey the notion of big G2 ecosystem, under such system, any act that helps make technology transfer become real or better, improve, compared to former practices, that helps make T2 become real and or better. It's part of the technology transfer process. Okay, so to make a robust and useful and helpful technology ecosystem, any such act as I defined just now, as I introduced just now, should be encouraged. And talking about this, I'd like to introduce a model developed by one of our TTPA board members, who is Mr. Jia Guobing. He is one of our board members, and he also volunteered to do, many efforts for TTPA. Actually, the third event, the webinar, is delivered by Mr. Jia Guobing. In that webinar, he discussed about his model in great details. So as you can see here in this model, the whole process of technology transfer is divided into multiple stages, and each stage contributes to the whole technology transfer process. Each stage, any action in each stage should be encouraged and be done as professionally as possible. Okay? So I hope more people can take a serious look at this model, and also discussions are welcome. I believe Mr. Jia Guobing wishes so as well. So, in simple words, what is technology transfer, or what is technology transfer for? It's for improving social welfare. Any action that help improve social welfare by leveraging or applying technology, it is part of technology transfer. That's my definition of T2. Okay? Okay, now let's talk about intellectual property and patents, especially patents, its impact on technology transfer. Actually, there are various intellectual properties surrounding a technology transfer project. You have to think about, the different kinds of intellectual properties, such as trademarks, copyrights, trade secrets, and of course, especially patents, right? For this webinar and my coming sub series, we will focus on patents, since technology transfer, technology is more related to patents, right? So we will focus on patents, and I think there is no doubt, and I also think you agree that patents play vital roles in various technology transfer stages. So going back to this model from Mr. Jia Guobing, there is various stages, right? In various stages, patents may play vital roles. So just to give you some examples, so you have a preliminary understanding of the impact of patents on technology transfer. Okay, so for technology transfer, technology is a foundation, right? No technology, no tech transfer, correct? But mostly technology results from innovation activities or R&D, right? But how do you make the decision of innovation, of R&D? How do you find such opportunities? And according to some research or researches by WIPO, based on patents, people can find innovation opportunities. And if you Google it, you can find some saying like there are probably more than 80% of technological information firstly disclosed in patents, but not in journals. And by utilizing patents, you can save your R&D time and costs to great extents. Okay, that's the first example. Its impact on technology transfer using or making use of patents. You can find, innovation opportunities. Also, by utilizing or by using patent information, you can discover R&D risks as well, right? If you have an innovation idea in your mind before your company formally set out to do the R&D project, I strongly suggest you do patent risk analysis as well, or else you may reinvent the wheel, or even worse, you may find you are infringing others' patents in the end. I believe that's not what you are hoping for. So by using or by making use of patents, you can discover potential patent risks and mitigate such risks by, making adaptive modifications. That's what people do in a typical FTO project. So that's another example of the impact of patents on technology transfer. Now let's look at it from another perspective. As you work on your R&D projects, you come out with bunches of innovations which you would like to protect from being unlawfully copied by others. What should you do? You should file for patents. You should build a patent portfolio to protect your innovations, thus accumulating a patent portfolio assets. Since you have such patent assets, you can use them to attract or support financing. There are many such examples outside in the world, especially startups having patent portfolios on its core technologies and attract ventures. So this is from the perspective of intangible assets. Patents are assets. They are also, of course, legal tools to protect your innovations from being unlawfully copied by others. And now let's turn to the perspective of transferring the technologies, right? By using patents, you can find potential licensees or buyers, such as using tools like citation tracking, etc. Or nowadays using AI technology to match your patents with potential licensees or buyers. Okay. And if you can go a step further, you can even design an oriented patent strategy. What do I mean here? If you have in your mind who the potential licensees or buyers are, then you can design a patent strategy based on such information. And when you developed your innovations, your innovative technologies, and you also have strong patent portfolios on such innovative technologies, they would help you to license the technologies out, right? So that's what I mean. You can, design an oriented strategy. Okay? So that's the patent, the impact of patent on technology transfer. So as a concluding remark, I think one just cannot afford ignoring patents, right? In the context of technology transfer. Without patents, you are not able to hold, control, or I should not use the word control, your innovative technologies. Without patents, you have less leverages to find investments. Without making use of patents, you may lose opportunities in various innovations. Since, as we said earlier, by using patents, you can find or you can discover R&D opportunities. Okay? So one just cannot afford ignoring patents in the context of businesses, right? In future webinars, I will go to the deeper level and probably more detailed level on patent practices, like how to build high quality patent portfolios, how to evaluate your patent portfolios, how to draft a license, a technology license agreement, how to negotiate a license deal, how to strategically use patents to gain competitive advantages in the market, how to monetize your patent portfolios, etc. So that's the content for my future webinars. And I hope you can join us. You can join me in those webinars as well. And I hope maybe we will be able to run such webinars offline in the coming days, in the coming time, but I'm not sure when the pandemic impact will allow us to do so. So the third part, recent updates from China in intellectual property. Okay, intellectual property, especially patents. This part is mainly for professionals from abroad, and I hope by going through this section, you can have an updated and objective of the current situations of IP in China, but not just relying on some I'm not sure what kind of resources you have in your country, talking about IP developments in China. But today I'd like to fill this gap. Okay. So first, I'd like to share with you some updates from the court system. Okay. We know IP protection is the crucial part of the IP system. So I'd like to begin with this kind of old news. It's in the year 2014. By the decision of the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress on the establishment of IP courts in Beijing, Shanghai, and Guangzhou. So sometimes such courts, or these three courts, are called special IP courts. To a certain extent, these three special IP courts are counterparts of the CAFC Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit in the US. And of course, they are not the same. So I'm saying it's almost counterpart, but not exactly the same. Okay. So with these three special IP courts, it shows the strong will of China government to protect intellectual property, especially patents, and bring court decisions uniformity like what CAFC is seeking, right? Why the US has CAFC? They are looking for uniformity in patent decisions, right? So the Beijing, Guangzhou, and the Shanghai IP courts, they have similar tasks, okay? And the three IP courts, they have released their annual reports, which show great achievements in IP protection. And you can find such information on their websites. Another piece of news is from the Supreme People's Court, which is the counterpart of SCOTUS in United States. And within the Supreme People's Court, there is a newly set up tribunal. That is the IP Tribunal of Supreme People's Court, a specialized IP tribunal in the Supreme People's Court. What does this mean? In US, we don't see such specialized IP tribunals. The 9 justices in the SCOTUS, they deal with all kinds of appeals from lower courts. But here, we, in the Supreme People's Court of the People's Republic of China, we have a specialized IP tribunal who handles appeals of IP cases from lower courts, including the 3 specialized IP courts I just mentioned. Okay. This also reflects the strong will and the real actions taken by the China government. And here you see the website of this highest IP tribunal in China. You can find more information here if you would like to, which I strongly recommend you to. Now, let's turn to the policy side. Actually, from the year of 2008, when the China government published the National Intellectual Property Plan, the China government is serious about this and has been working on various policies in enhancing the protection of IP. And the most recent one is the policy named Intellectual Property Strong country construction plan during 2021 to 2035. And this plan covers a wide range of intellectual property topics, from creation, from management, from protection, and commercialization and providing professional intellectual property service. And IP protection is one of the most emphasized parts in this plan. You can find the plan on the link on my slide, and I also strongly recommend you to do so. Another one I want to share with you is this one. It's also recently published. It's a notice published by the State Council of China, which defines or requires what should be done to better protect intellectual property during the 14th five-year plan, or the 14th five-year period in China. This notice is purely about IP protection, and it's from the State Council, the highest level of the administration government. Doesn't it mean China is serious? Today, I'm not sharing with you the many real-world patent litigation cases here. But in my future webinars, I will do. Today, I would like to share with you that from the most upper level of the China government, there are, as you can see, so many strong, policies emphasizing the protection of intellectual property so as to encourage innovation and to build a better and ever-growing, business environment in China. So really, I mean, we should have an updated and objective of what's going on now in China in the field of IP. And this is another recent policy update. It's a policy delivered by the China National Intellectual Property Administration and Department of Justice. Okay. Again, this policy emphasizes the protection of IP and specifically the ADR, alternative dispute resolution of intellectual property dispute. Okay. And here again, we see another policy update from the Supreme People's Court. Okay. And this notice tells what? It delivers the message that the Supreme Court is guiding the whole court system to enhance intellectual property jurisdiction work, okay, to enhance intellectual property protection. And if you are familiar with the China government system, such policies from the Supreme People's Court, from the State Council, from the IP Administration Office, from the Department of Justice, and other, national departments such as the education, department, the technology department, the commercial department, and the taxation department, and the human resource department, etc., and also the agricultural department, and even from the the police department. They all have policies delivering messages, their strong will in enhancing intellectual property protection. Okay. I hope our foreign brand professionals have in time updated, objective perspectives on such updates, improvements in China in the intellectual property system, and work together to make IP a really useful business tool for corporations, both in China and from abroad. And probably the last one I want to share with you today, there are so many policies by government agencies from national level to province level to city level, all enhancing intellectual property. One of the most important trends in China in the IP system is to enhance IP protection. Okay, and this IP policy is about what? Is about foreign patent law firms setting offices in China. The China government is welcoming foreign patent law firms to come to China, to do business in China, to better serve stakeholders, both in China and from abroad. So, my friend professionals in foreign countries, if your firm has a plan to expand into the China market, I believe is the right time now, and is a better time than ever. Okay? So the last one is I would say, is a foundational one, is the amendment of the China patent law, which came into effect this June the 1st. And one of the, not one, I mean some of the most impressive amendments in the China patent law all reflect the enhancement of IP protection. Okay? Such as improving the threshold of patent damages and improving the scale of willful infringement punishment. All in all, patent protection is the focus. So I'd like to concluding this part by this phrase: strengthening IP patent protection. China is serious. And I hope my foreign friend professionals, you can experience such changes by yourself, but not relying on those unjust, not objective, maybe comments, maybe research papers, no matter what name they are, but based on what I shared with you today, I'm pretty sure you see the real world actions China is taking, and all those changes point to the enhancement of patent protection or IP protection at a general level. So with that, I'd like to conclude my first part of this technology and intellectual property webinar series. And should you have any question, feel free to let me know. you can ask here on this meeting platform, or you can send me email by my company account, or if you are using WeChat, you can connect with me on WeChat as well. So with that said, I'd like to stop here and awaiting your comments, questions, or discussions. Thank you, everyone. So let's see if you have any question. Okay. If we have no more question, probably we can stop here. But you have my contacts here, right? If you have any question in the future, feel free to contact me. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us, and keep an eye on our TTPA events. And I hope to see you next time. So you have a good day or good night, depending on where you are. Thanks again for joining us. Take care. Bye-bye.